Welcome in, everyone, to another episode of my Dynasty Fantasy Football YouTube. Today, I'm looking at some Dynasty rookie sells or players I'm avoiding at cost in rookie drafts. As always, make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Let's go. So, my first player, Kaleb Johnson. And all of these players' sells today have something in common. They're all being treated as, for sure starters, 100%. They're going to be highly valuable fantasy assets, but they come with much more risk than they're being assigned. So, Kaleb Johnson, good prospect. He played 3 years at Iowa. In 2022, 13 games, 151 carries, 779 yards, 6 touchdowns, 5.2 yards of carries, 4 catches, 27 yards. Not much there. I mean, that's fine, but that's not an NFL caliber. Then in 2023, 10 games, 117 carries, 463 yards, 3 touchdowns, 4 yards of carry, 3 catches, 25 yards. Again, even less efficient. Nothing in the passing game. There's nothing there. After 2 years, Kaleb Johnson is, a late day 3 pick or nothing. So all of it with Kaleb Johnson was this past year. That's the only relevant year where he was very good. In 12 games, 240 carries, 1,537 yards, 21 touchdowns, 6.4 yards a carry, 22 catches, 188 yards, and 2 touchdowns. He was dominant. He was workhorse. Touchdowns, catches, high efficiency, 128.1 rushing yards a game. He was very, very good. There's no denying that. But it all was this 1 year. Now, for Johnson, there were some problems. One, he was slow at the combine. 4.57 second 40-yard dash. Didn't qualify for a RAS score. Usually I would list that, but he didn't have enough measurements to qualify for such a score. Speed wasn't great. He's bigger back at 224 pounds. Now, some are saying that he's faster than he showed with this time, but I don't double count it, right? If he had gone in the second round anyway, okay, maybe it would be a tiny red flag, but I wouldn't be obsessed with it. We can clearly see that all the measurement issues hurt his draft stock because at the beginning of the process, Johnson was being talked as a borderline first-round pick, early second-round pick. By the end of the process, he went to the Steelers with the 83rd overall pick in round 3. Not even close to being a round 2 pick, right dead in the middle of round 3. It's not bad draft capital, but we're not going to go through the whole thing on here. I've gone through it on the Patreon. Round 3 backs are less than 50-50 to really hit. Less than 50% of them hit. A lot of them completely whiff. There's more total disasters than big hits out of round 3 running backs. So Johnson is certainly not a lock to be a massive success. He was the 6th running back taken in this class. Again, we're talking less than a 50-50 bet to be a success. I'm not saying he's going to be terrible, but a success. Those are not the same thing. There's a lot of room in between terrible and fantasy, relevant or good. Now, Johnson joins a running back depth chart with Jaylen Warren. Those are only going to be the 2 running backs of any relevance on this team. I'm not concerned about Kenneth Gainwell or the newly signed Trey Sermon. Those are not relevant. I do have some concerns that Johnson is just going to duplicate the Najee Harris role of 2024 to 2022, last 3 years. A lack of speed and honestly a lack of pass catching in his profile. He had those 22 catches in the final year. That's not that much. And he didn't have any passing game usage before that. Now, it's possible that neither Johnson nor Warren is a top 20 fantasy running back. I would not say the Steelers are a top offense. And, if they split work, it's possible that neither of them are all that great. That's the outcome I'd bet on. I mean, I'm probably not going to have Johnson ranked in my top 20 redraft running backs. And I don't know where I'm going to have Warren ranked, but it's not going to be very high. So, it is what it is. Now, why am I just totally avoiding Kaleb Johnson? I see him go in the first round of almost all Superflex rookie drafts. By and large, almost always, drafting a 3rd-round running back in the first round of Superflex rookie draft is usually a mistake. You do have some hits in there. You have Devon Achane, but for every Devon Achane, there's 3 Royce Freemans, who was not a hit at all. So, yeah, it's just not a good idea. I see Kaleb Johnson go at the 108. There's almost no way he can pay off on that. It's very hard for him to be a hit at 108. If you get Kaleb Johnson at 203, then he has room to be a hit, but that's not where he's going. So, in any Superflex league, I'd easily rather have a Emeka Egbuka, first-round wide receiver who I like, or Jackson Dart over Kaleb Johnson. And then I'd be happy to sell Kaleb Johnson for a 26 first. There's certainly no universe in which I'd pay a 26 first for Johnson in any format. So that's an easy one for me. Again, I don't dislike the player, but he's being way overvalued. Way overvalued. Now, kind of do this over again for Bhayshul Tuten. I don't dislike him, but he's being overvalued. He's being overhyped. He started his college career at North Carolina AT&T, played there for 2 years. Transferred to Virginia Tech in 2023, played there for 2 more years. In 2023, 173 carries, 863 yards, 10 touchdowns, 5 yards a carry, 27 catches, 239 yards, 2 touchdowns. Pretty good. I mean, solid. And then in 2024, he was good. 183 carries, 1,159 yards, 15 touchdowns, 6.3 yards a carry, and 23 catches for 81 yards and 2 touchdowns. He improved his efficiency a lot, added some touchdowns. Receiving did go way down. This 81 yards on 23 catches is not good, but 105.4 rushing yards per game is really solid. Now, Tuten was not really talked about early in the process. Because of his performance at the combine, he earned a 9.56 RAS, which is excellent for a running back. 4.32 second 40-yard dash at 206 pounds will do that. It's pretty good size-speed combo. Obliterated the jumping events. He was a star at the combine, and that probably rose him from the 6th or 7th round to where he went in round 4 to the Jaguars with a 104th overall pick. And like I said, a round 4 pick. It's decent draft capital, but it doesn't say immediate starter. Not almost all, but the majority of 4th-round running backs are busts or backups. He was the 7th running back taken. Now, he joins Travis Etienne and Tank Bigsby on the Jaguars running back depth chart. Could Tuten earn a role? Yes. Yes, he could. He absolutely could earn a role. That's possible. To say that Tuten's going to immediately be the starter, it's very rare. I mean, even Bucky Irving wasn't immediately the starter. He became the starter, but he was not immediately the starter. So to say that Bhayshul Tuten is immediately going to be the starter as a 4th-round running back is almost impossible. So if anyone is saying that, they're almost certainly wrong. That's very, very rare. Now, a lot of people are comparing Tuten to Bucky Irving. And I can see that in some ways. I can kind of see, if you squint and compare Travis Etienne to Rachaad White, I can see that. I can see the 4th-round draft capital, the quality of competition in the backfield. The main difference is the price. Bucky Irving consistently went as a 3rd rounder in 2024 rookie drafts. Tuten always goes in the 2nd, sometimes in the earlier part. And I'll be honest, Bucky Irving was a far superior, productive running back in college over Tuten. Now, in terms of drafting Tuten, I would rather have a lot of these wide receivers. So, Jaden Higgins, Luther Burden, Trey Harris, Jack Besh. Hard to compare a running back to Bhayshul Tuten. I mean, he's in the spot I would draft him among running backs. The problem is drafting him versus other players. I have all the 2nd-round wide receivers over him. And it's pretty simple eval. I mean, many people have done this data. You can go look at the data. The data is that the hit rate on round 2 wide receivers versus round 4 running backs is not close. It's not a little better. You're talking about 5 or 6 times better. It's a far better bet, especially early round 2 wide receivers like Higgins or Burden. That's even more disparate. Now, if you're going to sell the pick for Bhayshul Tuten for a player, it's difficult to do. I would still rather have someone like Trey Benson. He's younger than Tuten, better draft capital than Tuten, better prospect than Tuten, more upside than Tuten. I think Benson could be a workhorse someday. Tuten was never a workhorse. So I think he's more of a committee back. He might have a role. He might. I don't really think Bhayshul Tuten is the next Bucky Irving or anything along those lines. I think it's more, a player that might be relevant at times. And then that could be good. Maybe not drafting that player in the early 2nd round or what he's going for in the trade market, though. Now, I always do the same Patreon promo on here. It's the same thing. I talk about what I'm offering on Patreon, this and that. The main thing really is the discount code, Tyler YT. You can get a 50% discount off your first month at all tiers. But beyond that, instead of going through the same Patreon promo this time, I wanted to do something a little bit different. And, just kind of talk a little bit more from kind of how I feel about all of this. So it's hard. One thing that I've never been able to reconcile is people tell me, We love the content that you do on the YouTube. We love it. We love this content. The views, the watch time, the click-through rate, all of the data shows that people love the content that I'm doing, and a sizable number of people at that. But it's so hard for me to reconcile. We love your content, but it's worth $0 to us. We're not going to pay anything ever to support your content. And I've never really been able to reconcile how I feel about that. That's something that's always been a challenge for me. Like it's great to hear that the content is loved, but at the end of the day, it's just in the world that we live in, if it's not worth any money, then it's not worth anything. And that sucks. That sucks that it's this way. I wish it weren't that way, but that's just the reality of creating independent content on the internet. And look, I don't know how to convince more people to join the Patreon. Just doing the content and not talking about the Patreon hasn't worked. If that were the right approach, I would do that. But that doesn't work. I get more signups when I talk about the Patreon more. How I talk about it has varying results, but talking about it definitely helps. So I'm trying to mix up how I do these types of promos, how I try to portray and discuss the Patreon. But it's hard. Like, I get it. It's hard. There's a lot of free resources out there. I understand that. They're not me. They're not going to be as responsive as me. They're not going to have the same level of interaction that I give you. They're not going to be duplicated in any way what I do on the Patreon. So if you're watching this video and you appreciate what I'm doing, I would love it if you considered signing up. That's why I offer the 50% discount, because I'm confident enough in my product that I think a majority of people will stay, even though after the first month, obviously they're not getting the discount anymore. With that being said, I plan to continue doing YouTube videos, and I it's always a challenge. It's always mentally a challenge for me to hear about how great what I'm doing is, but that it's worthless. That's very, very difficult. And after almost 5-6 years of doing fantasy football content, that's been something that is very mentally, I still can't quite square. So with that said, I hope more people join. The link's in the top right corner. Patreon.com/fantasy advice. Again, don't forget the discount code. I'll move on to the next player, but I just appreciate everyone who listens to the segment and for considering the Patreon. Thank you. So the final rookie sell for the video, Cam Skattebo. Again, I don't dislike him. I mean, I happen to be a Giants fan. I thought they got a great value on him in the 4th round. I liked him pre-draft as a prospect, but it's all about price with these types of sells. It's not that I dislike or like a lot of these players. Most of the players we talk about on the channel are pretty high up, in value. They're all players that I like to some degree. It's just price. Now, Skattebo, played 3 years at Sacramento State. It was a 2020 COVID year, then 2 more years. Transferred to Arizona State and had this line in 2023. 164 carries, 783 yards, 9 touchdowns, 4.8 yards a carry, and 24 catches, 286 yards and touchdown. I mean, not that much work. I mean, less than 15 carries a game. Nothing particularly special on the ground. So really, again, we're looking at the final year as this is why he got drafted. And the final year for Skattebo was insane. I mean, 13 games, 293 carries, 1,711 yards, 21 touchdowns, 5.8 yards a carry. That's great efficiency on that many carries. And 45 catches, 605 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Obviously, this is why Skattebo had so much hype. Nothing he did in 2023 was all that great. But in 2024, 131.6 rushing yards a game, 46.5 receiving yards a game. I mean, that's almost 180 total yards a game, 338 total touches in 13 games. He was a complete and total workhorse. I don't love that all of the production, the great production, came in his age 22 season against younger competition. I don't love that. I also don't love the Raz. It's nothing special. He was slow in the 40-yard dash, solid in the jumping guns. He was fine. The size speed combo, it's rough. It's not high tier NFL running back worthy, typically. Now, for a lot of these reasons, Skattebo went to the Giants with 105th overall pick in round 4. One pick behind Bhayshul Tuten, who we talked about. Real life, like I said, this was a great value. As a Giants fan, I cheered the pick. I was very happy with the pick. But like Tuten, 4th round capital does not usually signify immediate starter. It doesn't even usually signify future starter. It signifies a piece. For every Bucky Irving, there's 3 to 4 Isaiah Spillers, not to mention the Braylon Allens or Isaac Guarendos, who are relevant, but they're backups primarily. Now, Skattebo will compete with Tyrone Tracy for the starting job with Devin Singletary as RB3. Now, I fully believe that Skattebo was good enough to pass Devin Singletary on the depth chart. Singletary was not good in 2024 and was benched for Tracy. But to say that a 4th round running back is going to immediately dismiss Tracy, who was decent to good, is unlikely. Create a committee, sure. And that's something we don't want to hear. Fantasy managers don't want to hear this. They want to hear, well, it's probably going to be a committee. Multiple guys are going to be involved. They want to hear, well, it's A or B. They don't like when it's A and B. But sometimes it's going to be A and B. And this is one of those scenarios where I think that's the most likely outcome. At the end of the day, Tracy was pretty good. 192 carries, 839 yards, 5 touchdowns, 4.4 yards carry, 38 catches, 284 yards and touchdown. I think he wore down a little bit. He's not a workhorse back, shouldn't be used that way. He's a converted wide receiver, didn't have much college experience as a full-time running back. Tracy was a plus in the passing game, ran well despite the Giants having a horrid offense. Again, to say that a 4th round running back will just remove Tracy from the offense is unlikely. I think they're going to share work. I think that's what's going to happen. Now, I do feel like in rookie drafts, Skattebo is being treated like he's an instant starter. And it reminds me of other 4th round running backs who were treated that way. Michael Carter was one. Drafted way too high. Now, again, I would take all the 2nd round wide receivers over him. I just can't do it. I just can't take a round 4 running back over round 2 wide receiver. And this year, there's no round 2 wide receiver. There's no Tyquan Thornton in this class. Round 2 wide receiver who was a prospect that I despised. I liked all of these prospects to varying degrees. Some I liked more than others. But I liked all of these prospects. All of these round 2 wide receivers were prospects I liked. They were good wide receiver prospects. I felt they all deserved to go in round 2. So I'm not going to be fading any of these guys for a round 4 running back. I don't care what your team needs. Now, I have seen things like this, picks in the early 2nd range or whatever. Instead of drafting Cam Skattebo, could you take that pick, add a 3rd to it to get Kyren Williams? People are like on the Jarquez Hunter is going to take Kyren Williams' job train. I mean, I like Hunter as a sleeper. I'm not saying he's going to take Williams' job. And then maybe Kenneth Walker, people are sour on him. I try to do trades like this, but regardless, it's mostly just that I'm not picking Skattebo rather than that I'm like trading him away. I just would rather pick other guys at his cost. So today, Derrick Henry signed a contract extension, 2 years, $30 million with $25 million fully guaranteed. It adds on to the final year of his deal in 2025, so through 2027. Basically, 2025 and 2026 are fully guaranteed. Then there's probably a small out in 2027 that they can escape and save a little bit of money. Now, as usual, my move would be probably to try to sell Derrick Henry. I'm sure the comments will tell me that I'm stupid. I really don't care. You know, Henry might be superhuman, but eventually the fall off will come. I mean, he's 31. He's not really involved in the passing game. I like Henry, but if you can get a future 1st round pick for Derrick Henry, I'd take it. I would take it and I would move on. It's hard to do it, but I'm not as... There's a difference between Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley. Whereas Saquon Barkley, I feel like could win you the league by himself. Whereas I think if you fade Derrick Henry, you might be missing out on a mid RB1, but I don't think you're going to be torched by selling Derrick Henry. So yes, I'm saying sell Derrick Henry. Yes, I'm sure the comments will flame it. No, I don't care. And, this might be a time where you can get value for Derrick Henry that you couldn't. Like, what if you could get Romo Dunze in Dynasty for Derrick Henry? I would absolutely do that, just as an example. Got a couple of Patreon questions, and then we'll wrap up the show. Are there any vets who you have a flag plant on? Well, last year, that was like Drake London, who I was in on as a flag plant. This year, obviously, I'm really in on BTJ. I'm not buying that Travis Hunter is going to stop an elite wide receiver from BTJ from being elite. Other than that, in terms of a flag plant lower, DJ Moore and Brandon Ayuk. I'm probably just content to let other people deal with DJ Moore and Brandon Ayuk. I'm probably just done with those two. I have no interest in those guys at all. In terms of other positive ones, yeah, I mean, BTJ is the main one. I'm pretty in on Romo Dunze, I find, compared to average. It kind of makes sense with how out I am on DJ Moore. Yeah, those are some. Being out on Brandon Ayuk, I think, is one of my heaviest. What's the biggest mistake you see managers make at this point in the offseason? Oh, well, this is actually an easy question. This has come up in the Patreon a lot. How many questions I have gotten about, well, how do I fill my RB2 spot? That question, just that one, that particular question. Should I give away great young wide receivers for bad running backs to fill my RB2 spot? I can't even with this. I mean, unless you have a super team, you're going to have a weakness somewhere in Dynasty. It's going to be difficult to have a perfect roster in a 12-team start 10, which is your typical format. It's going to be difficult to be perfect. So you're going to probably have a weakness somewhere. I am not giving up a lot of value to fill my RB2 spot. You have to find another way. I've talked about this in the Patreon endlessly about other ways. What are other ways to fill your RB2 spot? Well, first of all, you can look at running backs with the absolute bottom of your roster. If you're going to give up value, do it at the bottom of your roster. Sure. I mean, if you want a roster, here's an example. Like, if you want a roster like Jahori Krosky Merritt over Jalen Royals, okay, whatever. I don't care, right? I mean, it's the bottom of your roster. You're going to be cycling those guys anyway. If you need to fill running back, do it at the bottom of your roster. Make those decisions. You can also trade for unwanted guys. I mean, guys are being given away, like Zach Charbonnet, Trey Benson. Who knows if those guys will have value, but they're being given away. I look at that. I mean, Rico Dowdle is someone you might be able to get for nothing. J.K. Dobbins, the same. Maybe nothing you have to pay for him. Maybe these guys will be relevant. Maybe they won't. But if you have to pay nothing for them, I'd rather do that than fill my RB2 spot with Joe Mixon, right? So that's the biggest mistake. That's the biggest mistake. I get that question multiple times, and people just can't, they don't like that they see, I'm starting whoever at RB2. It's too much anxiety. I'm not going to work. This is what I exist. I fix this anxiety. Sometimes I feel like I'm doing as much therapy as I'm doing fantasy help, but that's the mistake. 100% filling the RB2 spot. This makes my blood boil, skin crawl, hearing that way of thinking. If you liked the video, make sure to support the channel by subscribing, and don't forget to hit that notifications bell so you can be notified about all my exciting content as it drops. As I said earlier, if you want my best fantasy football advice, it's available on the Patreon. Dynasty content year-round. I also do redraft and start sit during those parts of the year. Those are only on the Patreon. I don't really do those anywhere else. 50% discount at all tiers using code TylerYT. Every sign-up helps support my independent content, namely this YouTube channel. Keeps this YouTube channel existing as a year-round content platform. But once again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all